There's a slight possibility that this Marvel Ultimate 4v4 tag team fighter game called Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, there's a chance that this closed beta may have actually went under your radar. So your boy was actually invited to collab on a video with my dog, Big Dog Deion, who will be tagged in the video. Definitely tapping with bro. I appreciate him allowing me to share the platform with him, and we picked each other's brains as far as our experience with the closed beta. So once again, shout out to Big Dog Deion. I will tag him in the video, and you can also click the description down below. Tap in with bro on each and all of his socials. He's a variety content creator as well. He is a streamer. He is a musician and artist, and he also does music reviews as well. So he does it all. So just wanted to give a quick shout out and let you all know what this video is going to be about. So we're about to transition into it right now.
First, I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Big Dog Deion, and today we're reviewing Marvel Tokon. They do everything is super Japanese on this joint, which I love. And I got Slice here today. Go ahead, Slice.
Yeah, man. Been running it up with Deion on the Rivals tip, or even Marvel Tokon, you know what I mean? And, we definitely got some things we want to talk about and just give you all insight on the closed beta. So once again, I appreciate you having me on, bro. So
hell yeah, bro. This collab is a long time coming. Bro do a lot of great different stuff, like a lot of good reviews, and the way he breaks stuff down is like, it's so digestible. So I definitely was like, yeah, let me collab with him. We both on a closed beta. We both ran it up on Marvel Rivals. We both into this type of stuff. And I think you got some experience with fighting games, right? Like, you really into this genre?
Yeah, so I actually, sheesh, man, I've been playing fighting games since about like PlayStation 2.
Okay.
It started originally with like the Naruto Ultimate Ninja series.
Let's get into that, yeah. Okay, Ultimate Ninja. Yeah, so yeah, fighting games been big, and I feel like it's just in urban culture is big in general, right? Like, whether it's Street Fighter, Tekken, what else? Like, even earlier for me, like, my cousins would come over and we would play, like, I don't know if you had the GameCube, was it like Ultimate Ninja Class or something, Ninja something, and it was like a 3D scroller. Ninja Class, yeah, it's a whole bunch of different fighting games over time. The Budokai series, all of that is super dope. Without further ado, we've been kind of talking about our history on fighting games, some of the cool fighting games, and while we into this, but yeah, we on the closed beta. The first thing I would want to say is the visual style of the game. Like, what do you think about it? Is it aesthetically pleasing? Could they do a little bit more? Is it too much going on in the screen? So I'll let you take the floor on that.
So as far as the visuals, I honestly think the visuals are great, man. I'm just sitting here looking at the loading screen right now and just looking at that in the background. It's almost like they have comic cel shading, but then, with this being Japanese based, you can still see Japanese influence, even when it comes to like Spider-Man's design, Ghost Rider's design, you know what I mean? I like the designs of them. All the character models look great. The only one I'll probably say I'm not a fan of is Captain America, but I'm personally just not a Captain America fan.
Okay.
But overall, I just no design of his does it for me, honestly. I'm not a hater, just not a fan, you know. But even sitting here in like the lobby where the little PvP lobby where we match up, and I like the idea of going to a fight where you're going to like an actual arcade.
Yeah,
that's pretty much like an arcade. Yeah, just with it being like an actual arcade, and we're walking up to the little machines, and that's how you play each other and matchmake. Like, I like that. That's I think they call it Battle Arcadia.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope. So I like it overall. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's too much going on in the background. I don't notice a lot of frame rate drops. If it was too much going on in the background, like maybe you might see that on the older 2Ks. I know that was a complaint, and some of the older 2Ks, all of that extra stuff they had on going in the city would cause delays, lags, frame rates, spikes, skips. No, I'm not experiencing any of that on here. So I think it's pretty solid, bro. What do you think?
Nah, I think I'm right with you on it. One is super duper colorful and vibrant, which I think really lends to like making a good game or making a game pop visually. Like, them colors is what get people on there. I like how they even have it like when you're on a loading screen, it's like when you're picking your 4 people, it's like comic book style. It's like you're picking the first page or the cover title to a comic book, which is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of anime in general. Anime fighting games could be hit or miss. You feel me? The main ones are, we're not gonna talk about Hunter x Hunter, but the main ones that usually are good are the Naruto series or the Dragon Ball Z series. But just to see Marvel characters actually be animated in a Eastern style, the Japanese style, is super dope. Like you said, Ghost Rider, not really the biggest fan, but to see him in the anime manga style, it looked like, bro, it's pretty dope. We're not gonna get into his gameplay right now. And then as far as getting into talking about like if too much is going on, I think with fighting games it's important to have a lot of stuff going on, as long as it doesn't take away from the fight. So for example, Mortal Kombat will have certain stuff like where you could kick somebody into the crowd and they'll do something, right? The environment, I think that lends to different parts of the game. And even here is really detailed. Like I believe you get 3 maps, which is New York, Savage Island, and the Xavier Mansion. And Gambit's in the back. There's a few different people. You can start seeing stuff in the back that's like, damn, like I ain't see that. So even if you having a bad round and getting your ass kicked, you can at least enjoy the scenery. To go down each character model, I am a Cap fan, so that is actually funny. Like I don't know why I fuck with Cap so much. I think it's the MCU movies, and the political drama. Like I like those type of movies, type shit. Bro from Brooklyn, he throw hands like he from Brooklyn. The style's there. It's a weird model, low key. Like he got a little biker jacket on, but hey, Spider-Man is. I don't think you can mess up on Spider-Man. I think they could have put a mask on Star-Lord. They did Storm right on the beta, I believe. Dr. Doom's model is great. And Iron Man is more like, what is that anime with the big mechs called again? Gundam.
Yeah, he looks exactly like a Gundam. I like that.
Yeah, I think the Ultimate with the Hulkbuster and stuff, it kind of pays homage to that. So long story short, with that, I can't really complain about the visuals. And then you talked about the hub world looks great. I'm gonna get into the actual functionality of the hub world. I think we can kind of like actually segue into that. So I think all that looks good, and then the hub world looks good, but I believe just like it reminds me of Park on 2K, and I'm more of a old head, right? So it's like it's that age-old battle of making the game good, because we on a closed beta and we really want to think what's going to make this game successful. I think what takes away from a lot of these games, even 2K, right, is the wait time. We in 2025. Everybody, especially at the older you get, niggas don't be having an hour and change if you waiting to get on the game or whatever. So I feel like I love the way it looks. It's super innovative because like if you played these 2D fighters, a lot of people got their experience, especially if they from the old school in the arcades. I'm not sure if they're a big thing nowadays still. But yeah, it could be a problem with people stepping on the circle, is what we call it in the 2K community, right? Like, so what you think about the battle hub world, the functionality? Can it work? Are we tired of seeing this in the game? Because if I'm not wrong, Z Fighters had a similar hub. Like, what is the purpose? And you can speak a little bit to fighting games. Like, do you think that it serves a greater purpose to have an online hub area, or could we do without and just kind of instant matchmaking?
You know, that's a great question, bro, because truthfully, although I do like the design and the concept of it, I don't see it being necessary. I don't necessarily get the point of it, because I think, just like you said, a lot of us, especially with us being older, quote unquote unks now, you know what I mean? We don't really have much time to ourselves to really play the game as much as we would like to, or much as we used to back in the day. So just taking that into consideration and thinking like, you know, yeah, this is a closed beta, so my lobby specifically right now, I have 53 slots out of 64 taken up.
Yeah, I'm on 51 right now.
My thing is, okay, so it's about 50 average. That's what it's looking like, at least for the time that we are on our coast. So just taking that in consideration, this is a closed beta. So, you know, it's going to be popping right now. Everybody's jumping to see, you know, what it's hitting like. But let's say the game doesn't do so well. If the servers not go down, but, you know, if we're looking at about 10, 15, maybe even 20 people waiting in the lobby, it's going to take a much longer time for us to get matchmaking, especially with this particular style of
Yeah.
Matchmaking, having to go up to the little arcade system and, waiting for somebody to hop on the spot, like you said with the 2K analogy. Then, it might take forever for somebody to hop on the spot. So, that's where I feel as if instant matchmaking, specifically for fighting games, should pretty much be the go-to. That's just my personal opinion, though.
No, I think that was a great breakdown, and you said some stuff that also made me start to think even about like the capacity. Like we don't even think about that from like a development to a game dev standpoint. Like, can the servers even handle it if it do? Like, let's go positive first, right? If it do bang, can the servers handle everything that's going on? And then on the other side, right? If it lags off, we don't need 3 different circles of arcade things. We need to hurry up and get to a game if it's a smaller community, so that it can be more kind of like close knit. Me personally seeing it here, I kind of already seen it kind of hit or miss, even with the 50 people. Like, there's a lot of people gaming, a lot of people playing it because it's a closed beta, but I had to boost my Wi-Fi because I think it was snowing one of them days, and then my Wi-Fi was acting a little bit weird. And what I seen early too, which they could try to figure out, is maybe putting you in the lobbies to where the Wi-Fi is more similar or something like that, because I ended up boosting it and doing what I had to do to get the good connection. But that also will determine if you're getting a lot of games or not, because when my stuff was like lagging a little bit, people would run away from the arcade machine, as they should, right? It's a fighting game, you don't want to lag while you're doing that. But just all these problems, like, well, if you had quick match and you lagging, it just be no penalty for somebody, right? And then they'll go into the next game, no time wasted. But that person who has maybe a more messed up connection, and the person who also has a good connection that's been waiting, doesn't waste their time or have to keep going game to game. So I could see it working and not working. I believe, other than just it being cool and us kind of having a community area to talk to, it doesn't really serve a purpose. And I want to just get to the Baja and a lot of shit. Like, bro, let's just put us in the game. But I'm not mad at it. The character models are super cool. I don't think we talked. Well, you did talk about that in the first thing, as far as like having the little avatars. I think what really will sell this more is the customization and adding more nuance to it. Like, rather than just us like walking around and going to these arcades, like you can spectate and stuff like that. Like, keep that, but also, I don't know, like add other things, like add reason and incentive to play the game. I think the reason why people come to Rivals a lot is because there's incentive to play the game, right? Like, you get rewards for leveling up in quick mode or competitive and stuff like that. So if they could implement all this into like customizing your avatars and stuff like that, I think it'd be dope.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree. And I know you brought up earlier that Fighter Z had pretty much a similar style of waiting area or, matchmaking area. That pretty much, it was literally like the exact same as this.
Yeah.
And one thing that I did notice that they did is they would give alternate skins or different colorways for the avatar models. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. With Marvel, all the what ifs and all the different variants of these I'm about to say customers. All the different skins and different variants and different multiverses and the different forms of these characters. We could potentially see. That's definitely something that they could at least spice things up with, since they decided to go the Avatar route. So that's something I'd be looking forward to seeing.
That's a great point to bring up, because Marvel really has a cheat code, kind of like what Fortnite kind of did. Because I don't know how Fortnite gets the access to all these different IPs. I think I just seen Danny Phantom today, not to go on a tidbit, but Marvel has such a deep bag they can use from the actual source content. It doesn't make any sense, because you hear about like things like with Game of Thrones directors, the TV series, they didn't know what to do after a while because there was no more source material. With Marvel, it's like you're never going to run out of source material for fans to be able to enjoy like a customizable avatar, or what if, or whatever. Like, it's so much little things there, so I think that's super dope. But as far as gameplay mechanics and breakdown, so let's get into the nitty gritty, right? It's a fighting game. This is probably like the meat of what a fighting game is. So what would you say about the combat system, the soul mechanics, the team synergy, the movement? Is there any bugs, glitches, and flow on and so forth from there, bro? I guess we'll let this topic go.
All right, cool. So as far as gameplay, I really think the gameplay's pretty good, man. Even the team mechanic, going from 4 characters Usually fighters like this would be like 2v2. So seeing a 4v4, this might actually be the first time. It's the first time I've seen it, but I don't know if this is the first time in general we've had a 4v4 fighter like this.
Drop in the comments below overall, if this is the first time it's a 4v fighter. My fault. I just want to know, because I only believe in seeing 3v3s, but keep cooking. I'm sorry.
No, you good, bro. You good. Yeah, definitely drop a comment and let us know down below. Like, is this the first 4v4 fighter like this? Because arena fighter, I think so. So, even if it is, in fact, the first 4v4 arena fighter, I do think this was executed pretty well. I don't think that each fighter should have separate health bars. I think they all should go the route of having a shared health bar. You know what I mean? And I feel as if it's pretty balanced. The assists aren't really broken at all. And it really just depends on who you're matched up against. I matched up against somebody earlier, and he was truly utilizing his assists and chaining me in some combos that, would have not been as powerful if he wasn't utilizing his assists to the best ability. So, it's not broken at all. It's actually, if you know how to utilize it, it's pretty good. And one of my favorite things about the gameplay, something that god awful Hunter x Hunter then Impact game did not incorporate. I'm getting PTSD just thinking about that game. But something that game had, but it was very, very poorly executed, that this game actually executed the right way, is counter strikes. And for those of you all who've played any of the Ultimate Ninja Storm series, I don't know what the buttons would be on Xbox, but there is a counter specifically for PlayStation where you hold square and X. It's like a parry almost. So if they attack you while you're holding square and X, you can parry them, and it's like a quick stun or something like that. It's pretty much the exact same thing on here. So that, honestly, me being an Ultimate Ninja Storm player, that was perfect for me. So I counter people pretty easily just because I have that to my advantage. A little bit of leverage of that control being the same from a Naruto game. So that was actually something dope that I noticed. And also keep in mind that this is heavily based on Japanese influence. So, the fact that I see them taking things from Naruto itself, I was pretty excited to see that. And I was pretty excited to know that I secretly had an advantage to most of the people on here. I won't say most of the people, but some people who may have, because that was a bit of like an intermediate level, counter. So, but overall, as far as the gameplay, there are two very broken characters in my opinion, but one you have to be pretty skilled with, and the other is not really. You need at least one person that's cheesy, that's beginner friendly or user friendly. So, but overall, I like the fact that they added stage transitions in the fight. So you can knock people out and knock them across, the stage, and the stage changes entirely. So, and just like you alluded to earlier, I know you were talking about like some of the Easter eggs that you may see in the background. Like, you can also notice them as the stage is transitioning as well, and even in the transition stage itself. So, they put a lot of work into the details and what's going on. The combos are pretty smooth, pretty easy. It's definitely user friendly, that's a big main thing of my concern, is that I want these type of games to be beginner or user friendly. Because a person like me, I'm good at fighting games, but if I hop on Tekken, which is not user or beginner friendly in my opinion, I don't want to play it because I just can't narrow down the combos.
Yeah, nobody want to
as opposed to me
just not stop on the game, so it got to be playable. Like, people like to win on.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Look, man, if I load up and I just started playing this, I get that there may potentially be sweats, and I'm not gonna win every game.
Right.
But the fact that it's taking me hours or days to master simple combos, I'm not trying to do that. Or even, like I said, in the case of Hunter x Hunter and then Impact, to master basically having to perfectly time every single counter, and then your counters have cooldowns, and that game was just atrocious, man. So like I said, this overall, the gameplay, in my opinion, for this, very balanced, very smooth. The one bug, it could potentially be a bug, or it could be a skill issue. I think it's in the middle.
I know what you're about to say.
You don't think it is? You know exactly what I'm about to say.
I was on your stream earlier, and I was like, bro, I know, because I play fighting games too. I'm like, bro, it's times where I was online and I'm walking back and niggas is still hitting me. Is that what you about to say? Like, it don't make sense.
Yes, exactly what I was about to say,
Yeah.
man.
Like, I seen it early. You ain't
there's
tripping.
yeah, I'm glad you popped in the stream earlier, definitely, bro. Because it always, that's one thing I love about streaming, is there's certain things that I can like express my frustrations about, like people can physically see it, and so I know, and also back me up, so I know I'm not tripping. Because sometimes, you do got to look in the mirror, and I might be like, all right, yo, it might be me selling, and then I'm like, I'm looking directly at my character, and I'm like, I see that I'm crouching, I feel my hand in the position to where I'm blocking, and it's not registered. That is my biggest issue with the gameplay so far. Like I said, that's got to be at least a higher percentage of a bug than most people are thinking. So, in my opinion, if they could just touch up on that, make the block more accurate, this game has the potential to be one of the best arena fighters, in my opinion, in a long time. That's about all I had for the gameplay.
Both times I tried it, like, it's times where I try to use the D-pad because, growing up, that's what we used a lot. And then I tried to use the analog. When I was using the analog, it's like the inputs don't register as often. When I use the D-pad, it seemed like it does. That might be a beta thing, but devs, that's something that y'all could look to try to clean up. Or maybe y'all doing it from a point to where y'all don't want people blocking so heavily so that the gameplay can move a little bit faster. I'm not sure if it's a bug or it's meant to be like that on purpose. The combat is really pretty smooth. Everybody is super duper unique, right? Like Cap can do so much with his shield. He can throw it up in the air. So many shield tricks. There's so many parries to it. I can't remember exactly what it's called when you're blocking and you press X and square. I believe it's like they call it a certain type of move. But even those type of parries are dope as well. It's very user friendly. So I'm used to playing all the old school Street Fighter games, and anybody knows, like, right, for a projectile, a Hadouken, right, is down over. Yeah, down diagonally over to throw the projectile, right? And a lot of people, that would take them weeks to learn. Or even you doing a Shoryuken, you would do it in reverse, right? Down, diagonal, back, to do it. And some people just don't have the hand-eye coordinator. There might be a kid that really likes Spider-Man but can't do none of the moves because it's hidden behind, or is a skill gap. And I think the good games, they learn how to really tend to their competitive players, but they also learn how to really tend to their casual players without, breaking the game too much. I feel like the inputs are really good. So for example, if you want to dash, you could either double tap on your analog, which doesn't register all the time, or your D-pad, or you could just press L1 and move forward, right? And then that makes it simpler. Same thing with the projectiles. Instead of doing what I told you to do with the down diagonal over to throw a projectile, you could just press R2 and it's the same move, right? And that might allow even advanced players to play the game a little bit easier now that they can do the move that they want to do with less buttons. So I believe that's what I was just talking about, to where they did a good job. Like, it's going to tend to casuals and competitive players, because the casuals can use the button easy, but the competitive players going to be able to string together so many more complex combos with the easier button. The team synergy is crazy. I haven't seen a 4-fighter, and I like how it happens. I can't remember how it was on the other Marvel vs. Capcom, but I believe you had all three of your people from the start, and you just had a gauge in when you could use your assist and when you could sub in, if my memory serves me right. But I like how you start off with 2 people, and then as the fight progresses, it's like, okay, we're going to add another round, and that really changes the dynamic of a fight. Because when I was online, I was getting my ass kicked a few times in the first few rounds, but I was able to get me in still some rounds in the game, because Dr. Doom would come in, Iron Man would come in, right? Captain America would come in, that'd be like my third person. And it's kind of like a counter on Rivals. Like, I was so good with that person that it changed the game a little bit until they kind of figured out what to do with it. So I like that dynamic of kind of like playing a card game. Like, whenever I get this card in my hand, you may or may not be in trouble. So I think that's dope. And the team synergy is amazing. It's so many opportunities to juggle, and I think that's the biggest thing in these fighting games, right? And how can you juggle? You probably could be getting juggled for days with the team synergy and the swap belts if you are having your gauge right. And then the movement is super fluid. So keeping on this topic, I want to ask you, what are those 2 characters that were super broken?
Spider-Man and Ghost Rider are the two people that I absolutely despise running into in this game. Specifically, they're just super cheesy, man. But the one thing I will say about Spider-Man is I don't think he's user-friendly or beginner-friendly.
No.
So, in my personal opinion, I'm not good with Spider-Man. But the Spider-Man that I do go up against, I have a problem. Unless like you said, unless I can counter, which they do also have counters on here. I think you touched on that as well. So, unless I'm like perfectly countering him, then Spider-Man could be a problem. And I don't think Ghost Rider really has a counter. At least I haven't figured it out yet. Yeah, I don't really think he does because he can attack basically at all three levels, close, mid, and long range. So, just taking that into consideration, you get some, and his moveset is super easy. Excuse me, and it is kind of cheesy as well.
Yeah,
exactly, and it's fast. So, taking all those things into consideration, it's not the easiest dealing with a Ghost Rider or Spider-Man at all. So, like you said, it's not. The juggling one here isn't as bad as I thought it would be because I feel as if they don't let you juggle people too long, which that is something that I've seen on video games, specifically Naruto to Boruto Storm Connections. They have it to where, and I'm guilty of doing it too, I'm not gonna lie, I have put people in an almost infinite juggle, and it's very cheesy. It's very cheesy, so
it's part of fighting games though. Even in tech, even in 3D fighters, like you can just be getting juggled. So it depends on. I think it's like a skill thing too, and if the game allows you to have different counters and get out of it. But I believe like the game just drops your character to a ground after a while, and then you have to block so you don't get put into another animation like that. So yeah, that's dope. All right, so yeah, my next thing was going to be balance because we talked about characters and how the gameplay was, and I kind of asked you like who were the problems gonna be. So in some fighting games there's a broken character, right? Like if you go to a certain Street Fighter, if you pick Akuma or certain things, like is this really nothing that you could do if a person has some type of skill set? So do you feel like Ghost Rider is on that, or he's definitely beatable, or we don't know yet?
The reason why I'm gonna say we don't know yet is because I didn't start running into cheesy Ghost Riders until today's stream. Yesterday any Ghost Rider was all right, but I didn't have any problems with them today. So taking into consideration, I think the beta's now been out this is now technically day 2.
Yeah. So
people have at least had one whole day to, really lock in and figure out the guys' combos, how they move and things along those lines. And I still think it's just a tad bit too early because just keeping in mind that I think we only have like 8 characters so far on the beta.
Yeah, so it's a beta too. Yeah. As a disclaimer, like it's not a finished product, but based off the beta.
Right. So we also don't know if he will have a definitive counter sometime later on as the roster actually like continues to grow. So I'm kind of in the middle with that. That's a good question because I don't really think I can answer that. So that's a great question. Not too many questions I can't answer. So I got to stay in the middle with that one. And I'll just say it just depends. As far as Spider-Man, though, Spider-Man does have a counter. I honestly think Cap is a good Spider-Man counter. And I do like Cap. And you alluded to how he has the variety of moves with his shield and just the different ways how he can throw an angle and bounce his shield around. That's probably one of the dopest features for him, and I really do like that. But I like Cap specifically on here because I am dog water with Cap on Rivals. So a game where I can a game where I can finally use Cap and be good, and he's actually one of my mains. So
everybody's gonna be different or better with different characters. Even you were saying you don't know if Ghost Rider has a counter or something yet either, but I was seeing when you put out Miss Marvel earlier, there was nothing people could really do as well because now you have that 3-level fighter on the screen. So I know it might be too early. I'm gonna go ahead and say it seemed pretty balanced, but they have to keep up this pace, and there's so many Marvel characters. Now my next question would be, what would be a good number to start the game off with? Because that's another big problem I have with gaming as we go, right? When I bought the first Budokai, not the first Budokai, but the third Budokai Tenkaichi, you got damn near you were able to unlock all the characters on the game from the start of the game. Same thing with Smash Bros back in the G. I don't want it to be where it's a fighting game and they're trying to sell us all these downloadable characters. So what would be a good starting point to keep the roster as balanced as it feels with these 8 people? My number, I would say probably, I wouldn't say no more than 35. It's Marvels, so like I wouldn't say no more than 30 fighters. That's a lot to deal with. I would say 20 is probably a sweeter spot. 16 seem a little bit too lax because that's like what, another 8 characters. So maybe 20 fighters to start off, solid characters, and then they can add. But that's just my thought on that topic.
I think about 24 at the absolute least for the base roster should be good, because taking into consideration for the beta, we have 2 sets of 8, which is 16. So if we just do 3 sets of 8, I feel as if that's pretty balanced, because like you said, that number 1, that's 24. And number 2, 30 base fighters, 30 plus base fighters, that is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, so just to be fair for the developers, and I think that like 24 is a definitely a good variety of characters for us to have in the beginning, at least. I don't think they should have any less than 24, because I do agree with you as far as the games that we have today. Their base rosters aren't anything compared to what we used to have back in the day. Tenkaichi 3, I think, still holds the record for how like the largest amount of fighters in a fighting game.
That's interesting.
And they even have fighters who it's still like it just has not been touched as far as roster space. And it's sad, man. We're in 2025 going into 2026, and I hate to bring that game up, but Hunter x Hunter Impact Men, again, if I bring that up, bro, there was like 6 or 8 base fighters, if I'm not mistaken. Like it definitely wasn't 10. My biggest thing, my last point I'm going to say about fighters and the rosters, one thing that I noticed that video games no longer do that I used to love as a child are what if characters and making them playable.
Man.
I don't know what type of what if characters we could get on Rivals on Tokon, but at the same time, this is Marvel we're talking about. They literally have what if series. So I mean, the potential is exponential for that, man.
Now, that's a good point, because I remember, I believe it's Dragon Ball Rage and Blast before the new Dragon Ball series that's out, Daima. They had like Super Saiyan 3, Broly, and Vegeta, and it's like, bro, like just playing that as a kid and running the ones with the homies on that afterwards, like, yeah, like you want to see them type of characters in the game that you wouldn't be able to play, but you hear on the show and stuff like that, or the Moon Knight, the Moon Blade, or whatever the hell. Like they got so many just from the new series that just came out, that they animated, so that'd be dope. All right, we've been going for a little bit. The only other thing I want to say is hype potential. So do you see this being like a tournament game? The content potential, like how long can this last? I know I still might see I've seen Z Fighters for a long time. I don't see it like that no more, but the fan base and the longevity, if you want to touch on that briefly, and then we're gonna go to the comparison section, which is like really like does it remind you of Marvel vs. Capcom? Does it remind you of a Street Fighter versus Tekken? So let's start with hype first.
As far as hype, longevity, etc., I feel as if anything Marvel, just because it has the Marvel label on it, no matter what, it's going to be hype, and it has that potential just because the fan base is so large. I feel as if the hype will always be there as long as they just continue to put the effort into the game, just make the necessary adjustments that need to be there. But so far, it's not much that they really need, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So as long as they do the roster right, people are streaming it. Honestly, whenever I go to the category, one thing that does concern me on Twitch specifically, I don't see that many people streaming this. But at the same time, we got to keep in mind that this is just a closed beta. Most people actually don't know how to get their hands on closed beta access. So I'll more so chuck it up to that as to why I don't see that many people streaming this. And I believe they also had limited slots. I'm not too sure about that or not, but I think that might also be the case. Overall, though, I do see this being a good, successful fighting game, especially for Marvel. They can reel in the 2 different types of audiences between Marvel and anime fans. They really are combining both. So that was smart as well. Those are 2 very popular, if not the most 2 popular animated or fiction series. So That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. And as far as competitive or tournament play, this game actually does look good enough and balanced enough to where I could see, some actual genuine competitive play. Now, of course, unfortunately, if you guys have ever watched competitive play, it's very spammy and very cheesy, very sweaty. But that they do make money, and you have to. If you've seen any competitive game, you know that you have to play to win, and you know what that takes. I'll just leave it at that. As far as longevity, like you said, just because Fighter Z, I don't even think their roster was that good.
No.
And they had a long run. So I feel as if, honestly, Marvel Tokon could surpass that, hopefully. But I definitely see it, though. Just like we said, just due to the amount of characters that Marvel has over the Dragon Ball franchise, it's almost a given they just take care of the game and, just keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that was a great breakdown for the hype potential. I think with fighting games in this genre, like, it's really kind of like self-pilot a little bit. Like, you kind of see if you got all the ingredients, the food's going to cook itself. You feel what I'm saying? So, like, Fighter Z or Z Fighters was pretty dope because it had all the elements to make it dope. The fighting community has always been there. I think it's probably like one of the first biggest versions of esports or e-gaming. It was always fighting tournaments and stuff like that. So I think it's gonna be big. I'm a little bit, as a content creator, like you said, skeptical or a little bit nervous about how much content you can make on it. But Z Fighters or Fighter Z had a lot of content being made. People were really into it and still figuring out different combos and stuff like that. And with a large roster, I believe that you could really the content can be endless. With it being a closed beta, I think you hit it right on the nose with people not being able to access the game or even being into it, because it's I'm a final product type of person, I would say, too. Like, I'm not really trying to judge it. Some people might not be that interested in the closed beta right now, even though that is going on right now. It did drop around Marvel Rivals anniversary too, so maybe people might be on the other platform that's a little bit more known. So who knows? And hopefully it does grow, but I think the hype could be there. The only other thing with comparison now, with going into the comparison section, is a lot of people are going to tell you that it reminds you of Marvel vs. Capcom with just one extra fighter and a few different gameplay mechanics. And I wouldn't say that they're wrong. I feel like it's good old 2D fighting with with the skill gap that's there, right? Do you know what you're doing? Are you a tactician? Do you cheese in competitive modes, right? Do you know the combos? Can you counter? And stuff like that. So yeah, so that's what I think about that. What does this game remind you of when you're playing it? Is there any fighter that it is most comparable to?
Yeah, I would also agree with you as far as it being most comparable to Marvel. I said Marvel Rivals. Marvel Capcom. Yeah. Marvel versus Capcom.
Okay.
I played a lot of that. I really only played Origins, which is technically the first one, and then they remastered the first one and called it Origins when I believe it was PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. But yeah, that's just like you said. That's pretty much spot on. Marvel vs. Capcom, strictly a Marvel roster, and with one to two extra character slots.
All right, bet. Well, I think that was dope. We talked about this for longer than I thought, but I think you're just a good reviewer and you know what you're talking about. It kind of led to show your expertise on the topic. So it's kind of hard to give a damn beta a final verdict. But my first thing before we even try to give it a grade or how we feel about where it's at right now, how much fun did you have? And then you can give me your final grade. Like, is it fun for you? Was it fun? Did you enjoy it, or did it feel like I don't know, what was the fun, how high was the fun factor on a scale of 1 to 10 for you?
I really want to say the fun factor, I had about an 8.5, okay, and on a good day about a 9 out of 10. Honestly, it's very fun, but me specifically, I haven't played a fighter like this in a long time. So for me to be able to get back into this and actually be pretty successful as far as my win rate and success rate on the closed beta so far, I've actually been having a lot of fun. There's only 2 people I really can remember who truly gave me a a great battle to where I'm like, sheesh, like, you know what? I might not be messing with this guy, man. Like he might just got it over me, you know? So
Yeah.
my fun really boils down to if I do lose, am I getting cheated by the game or am I losing just because somebody's better than me? And like I said, it's really only been about 2 to 3 losses that I have lost where somebody's been significantly better than me. And for the most part, some of those games have been close. Some of them have just been me blowing people out. But regardless, the fun factor is just, like I said, I want to say about a solid 8.5. That's just me trying to be balanced without recency bias or,
Okay.
taking feelings because I've been winning a lot into consideration. So that's about where I will put it at.
I would say like I really had a lot of fun on it. And I kind of come in the mindset, especially with fighting games and stuff like that, that there is a skill gap, right? I think that kind of helps with gaming in general. Like I want to win. I'm competitive as well, but just knowing that some people are better and stuff like that, I feel like it was pretty well. It was pretty good. I think I had some connection issues sometimes, and it seems sometimes like where the person was better than me, and then I would rematch him and start figuring him out. I don't know if this is a community thing or was my connection. It seemed like it was starting to lag out after every time I was whooping on that tail. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a solid 8 for me. It all depends on how quick I'm getting into the game and stuff like that, because it was certain times where I was waiting a little too long. But other than that, like when you're playing the game, I have really like no complaints. It's pretty fair, and it's a winnable game. Like even if somebody is like, I feel like it's very, like you said earlier, kind of user friendly. Like even if somebody is way better than you and you're kind of casual, like they have enough, especially if you know about fighting games, they have enough here to where you can get a few rounds off and maybe even sneak a W. So it's like, it's for, I feel like everyone, and I had a good time playing it. It just all depends on how often and how many people are in my arcade hub to load up the next game. Oh, and one thing I just noticed too, they do have a quick entry thing. When you press triangle on the hub, you go straight to the open arcade. Final verdict for me, like after all that breakdown, we didn't really say nothing too negative. It's a beta. I don't want to be too harsh, but I give it like a soft grade of on a report card scale. Like I give it a good A-. Like what can you expect, or what should you expect out of a 2D fighter that has all the IP to make it pretty much a home run? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just kind of like what I think about the game.
Great minds think alike. That's why I always love when we collab or when we play rivals together, because I'm going to give it the exact same grade that you did. I'm going to give it an A-. I don't think it deserves a solid A or a solid A+. I think an A- is right on the dot. It's pretty fun, pretty balanced, but like, just keeping it in mind that it is a closed beta. Just small couple things, maybe connectivity issues. I haven't had much, but I have had some people lagging, and it would ruin the experience just a little bit. But for the most part, they've matched me up with people with similar or the same Wi-Fi status as mine or signal. So I haven't had me personally. I haven't had too many connectivity issues, but when I have had, yeah, it was enough to ruin the experience of the fight, either for me or the other person. Because I have won some games because the other person was lagging. So, it just is what it is on that. I won't brag or nothing, but like I will just be man enough to admit, like, hey man, look, you probably could have won that round if you weren't lagging. So, maybe tighten up on the service a little bit as far as connectivity. But overall, yeah, I'll give it about a solid A-, man.
So this has been dope. This has been a great collab. This is kind of like my first collab review, so this is really dope. So definitely plug all. You kind of plugged earlier, but make sure you plug all your stuff. Make sure y'all follow Slice, as you can hear. You know what the hell he talking about, so you're gonna want to follow and stay tuned for all the latest gaming news, all the anime news, and just all, all the fly shit. You feel me?
All right, thanks a lot for having me on here again, bro. I definitely appreciate it. This was definitely my first collab as well. I've been on YouTube for some years, man, but I've been having sporadic uploads here and there. But I try to stay consistent, at least upload like once a month. But for this to be my first collab, and this would be first of many more to come. You figured out me. So for my subscribers, if you coming from my channel and you're new to Deion's channel, tap in with my boy. You figured out me. You know how I get down with the reviews, and I only surround myself around like-minded individuals. So definitely tap in with bro. Hit the subscribe button. Tap into his music as well. He does music reviews. I know some of you all do music as well. Go ahead and get your music review by my boy. You figured out me. So once again, I appreciate you having me on the channel, bro. We definitely got to collab some more. So just hit me up whenever, bro.
Yes, sir, ski, man. It's been real, and yes, shout out to everybody subbing to his page and all my people. Like you said, that's a great pitch to sub, and anybody that's hearing from hearing from his side. Yep, yes, Sirski, Big Dog D on all platforms. And that's big DAWG Deion Deion. And yeah, I think we just come from a real like down to earth, real perspective, and we just try to give like our everyday take on what we think about it. And I think we got some really strong perspectives, viewpoints that come from experience as well, and we have like I guess like a positivity to try to push a certain message as well. Like we're not trying to force you to do nothing, but just kind of give you some insight. That's what I really get when I go to Slice pages, insight, right? And you take that with a grain of salt and you do what you wish, right? So without further ado, man, that's us.